Hey there, folks. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to ask you if you could take a moment to head over to my channel sponsor, Dubby, at Dubby.GG. They have a wide assortment of different energy drink powders that you can put in your water if you'd like to avoid soda and high levels of sugar. You can use the code THEGIG for 10% off of your entire order, and it would be helpful to the channel. Thank you very much. Hey there, folks. Andre, the Game Idea Guy here, and I'm going to do a video that is kind of the opposite of the one that I had earlier this year, where I talked about the need to be worried about what AI brings to generally society. I still do believe that those things are places for major concern. I'm not going to backtrack on that, but I kind of wanted to think about ways that AI could be used positively, and since gaming is my mainstay, I figured I would come up with some ideas or even repurpose some older ideas I may have had before that AI could be great for utilizing. So one of the first things that I thought of is for games that have dialogue options or that have specific reactions and such in a game. Like where you have multiple choices, multiple ways you can answer something. And I think that that's one place where AI could help improve gaming in that aspect. Like anything story-based or story-driven, where you would have characters have to have reactions, and those reactions lead to specific types of consequences. This would be cool for AI to be able to be used with, especially if you were to incorporate direct speech into the game. Say you could use your microphone and talk directly to the characters in the game. Now, like, we haven't had games that have done something like that before, but the reactions and interactions were very limited in scope. With AI, you could, especially if you use like a language-based model of AI, or potentially, I forget the ones that copy, what they're called, the ones that copy voices. But say, for instance, you have, obviously you're going to have voice actors. You have voice actors paid for their roles, but then you train an AI model specifically on their voice for the specific use in that game. Remember, limit the scope. So that after you have them record their lines, their specified lines that will be in the game, and you would have set responses that don't require your particular voice, inputs that are already in the game, but you could train an AI model to copy that person's voice and speak as that person in the game, again within limited scope, that could have responses to your unique responses that could come from the microphone. And you could have a language-based model under that is analyzing what is being said to line up the responses with the outcomes that are supposed to be in the game. Basically just giving flexibility to the way that language and reactions are set and done in the game. Again, I'm forgetting the type of AI, but obviously I'm not that big into it myself. I'm still learning about what AI is capable of doing, obviously. But with all of that in mind, you could have this be added to a game so that someone can give a specific reaction from themselves, their own unique reaction to the character with their voice. Their voice can then be translated to text, and then that text can be analyzed to give a response back, and then that response could be sent to the duplicate voice AI to speak and emote the response back to the player, as well as the system or the game lining that response up with the type of response and outcome that it matches. I know that sounds overly complicated for something that would happen in like 0.2 seconds, but it's an interesting way to go about it. Like for instance, the game Calling that was on the Wii. I still wish this game would have a return, but we have to see who took it after Hudson Soft dissolved. But say for instance you could have a conversation with someone on the phone. Like you have your headset, your mic acts as the microphone for the phone. Your character picks up phone in game, and you have active speaking with whoever's on the phone. You say something, they react to what you say, they give something to say, you react back to them. I know I'm making it sound more complicated than it would be, but then also most of us probably wouldn't be able to wrap our heads around that anyway. At least not at first. So basically just an active call and response from the AI within the game, again within a limited scope, so it works within the game world, not outside of it. But that's one example. Another example, which is something that's already sort of been done, and that's having games adjust themselves to you as the player versus having a set level of difficulty that you have to work within. I mean, this would allow for a game to still have challenge to itself, but it would be more nuanced to how you play as a player. More so about maybe more so about challenging you to understand the weaknesses in your playstyle and having to learn on the fly as you play. Like, for instance, if we could ever get Ubisoft to make another Splinter Cell game, how you perform in one mission will affect how you will have to perform in another mission. Like, let's say you had two missions that were in relatively close areas to each other, and this would be part of how it operates. Two missions that are in relatively close area to each other, or that are related to each other in a chain of missions. So, for instance, if you decide you're going to attempt to go gung-ho, then the AI for the next mission will be looking for how you played things out the first time. So it'll be actively working against that style of play. That would be cool. I'd be down for that. As so long as it doesn't do the overboard cheating thing where it knows everywhere that you are, and there would have to be some sort of restriction in place to stop that from happening. But it is plausible to do it that way. So if you're extremely sneaky and nobody finds you, then they would be more vigilant. Maybe make their patrol route shorter, pay attention to darkened spaces a little bit more, be more watchful of their other NPCs or enemies' patrol routes. Stuff like that would make the game more fun, honestly, if it could be done properly. Again, we don't want the game to go into hyper god cheat mode. We're like, oh, you're in the darkest corner in the room, but I'm going to still be able to see you from 20 miles away on the opposite corner of the map. That would be bullshit. We all know that. That would be bullshit. And there are games that have done that before too, without AI being generative in the way that it has become more recently. Now thinking about that though, this could also be used for musical games, like where the AI in the game is training you to learn how to play a certain song. That could be. That's a stretch though. That might be a little bit of a stretch. That's something that would have to be worked on. I honestly can see it, but I can't fully see it. At least not yet. Another potential positive way that AI could be used in a video game could be for world destruction as well as world building. Now, I know there's that video out there floating around of the AI generated Minecraft thing. I don't want anybody to think anything like that with what I'm talking about. Nothing like that where you can look away and then look back and everything's completely different. That would ruin a game for immersion and fun and gameplay. So no, not something that is building the world as you are playing it. But if you were to have a game that, say, had destructive environments in it, those buildings could remain destroyed and be slowly built back up over time, which a game having an AI model could actually be allowed to do something like that, where you could have the buildings that you have destroyed being slowly rebuilt and returned. I mean, you probably have to create an AI specific to that so that it doesn't, like, you know, run rampant just building buildings throughout the game. But then you could also build into the idea of that model to make new buildings in wide open spaces that are unused. I mean, it wouldn't have to be something that's constantly used. There will obviously have to be some sort of terrain that it wouldn't utilize to create buildings. But it's still something that could be of interest to do. That way you could have a landscape of a city in your game that evolves based on how you play the game, how you attack the sandbox. Again, it's something that could be plausible. It wouldn't be something that would have to be done right off the bat, obviously. And it would probably require someone taking an AI model and making specific I'm forgetting the word parameters. It would make specific parameters for it to work within. This could allow for buildings to evolve over time, or new buildings to be created within the sandbox of the game, and just ever evolving the landscape of the game you are playing, which could lead to unique maps for everyone playing, but still having the same general feel for the game. It's something that could be interesting. I don't know how it would fully be utilized, but the concept is cool. And it just depends on what you would be doing with the map, with the landscape of the world. So that's something else to be considered and thought about. Here's another example. I think I've actually talked about this type of concept before, because there was a guy that made a YouTube video based on this concept, and that's to be able to have songs blend in and out to different versions of them depending on the intensity of the moment. Like a guy did this with Sonic. He went through and did a gameplay run of Sonic and had the music adjust itself to the intensity and the speed that Sonic was moving, which is a cool concept. That would be something awesome to do and utilize AI to be able to shift back and forth. Obviously, you would have the human component be the person composing the songs, creating the tempo for the songs, but then you'd have the AI transition between the different versions of the songs, again, within specific parameters, smoothly transitioning between both of them in a way that might not be noticeable at first, but when you're playing and you sat down and got into it, you'd be like, oh, I didn't even, man, that's cool. Like, we went from the action version of the song to a more subtle, slowed pace of the song once the action was over. This would be good for RPGs, this would be good for action games, this would be good for adventures, this would be good for a majority of game types out there, where you have an active change in the theming of the song, even if the song is still the same, but you have an active change in the theming of the moment of the song, and that could be swapped in and out without an abrupt stop and switch. And I'm saying using AI to do it because AI would be able to track the positioning of the songs and have them all actively going at the same time, and just swap to the version of the song that matches up with the other one at that particular point and slowly transition between them. It would be complicated to do, but I think once it's set in motion, that would be one of the best things that AI could be used for when it comes down to video games. That would be one of the best things it could be used for. But I don't want to drag this on too much more. I just had a few ideas, a few concepts that I thought would be interesting that could work within the realm of gaming that could use AI in a way that would be considered proper without bringing AI in a way that would be overbearing to the people who are making things in gaming, where it won't be something that causes ham-fisted problems like that, again, like that Minecraft clone that was floating around out there that's being generated as you play. All of this is stuff that could be utilized very well and easily to create something fun within the world of gaming while utilizing AI, but not making it overly expensive, because you'd be limiting the scope of the AI, but also that wouldn't be too intrusive on people who are developers. And obviously developers would have to work on and make the AI or adjust the AI to what they needed to do anyway. So this is a good way it could be used, where it doesn't encroach upon people who are already in the industry and creatives that are already there. Okay? Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. If you would be interested in supporting my efforts in content creation, please head on over to Amazon and look up The Game Idea Guy Presents Gaming Word Search, and you will find both Volume 1 and Volume 2 up for sale. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to be able to create more content for you in the future. Peace out.